Now this first species that we're going to be meeting today is going to be further off the coast. You can find them in the Gulf of Mexico as far down as Central and South America. They are a pink bird, but they're not our pink friends to the left. They get their pink color in the same way though. Everyone, if you turn over to your right, this is JoJo, and she is a 3-year-old roseate spoonbill. Now, spoonbills get their name from that large spoon-shaped bill that she uses to help her find her food. Now, not only is it just a really cool-looking bill, it serves a really important purpose. So you gotta think, spoonbills are native to the marshes where it can be pretty tricky to be able to find the food located underneath them. So in murky waters, she's able to use her bill, sweep it on the ocean floor or coast floor, almost like a rake, and she uses that to be able to find her prey, which may consist of fish, the occasional crustacean, or even... Now that bill also acts as a built-in filter, and she can use it to filter out different things like mud, sticks, and different debris. Flying in, this is JoJo. You'll also notice she has very skinny, slender legs, which serve also a really important purpose. So she can use these to get into the mud and parts of the ocean floor that other birds might find it a little bit more tricky to navigate around. They alone can help to make sure that is balanced by eating those animals that sometimes other birds can have a little bit of trouble getting to. We talked about her long legs, but that also serves a purpose. She's able to go into deeper waters without getting her feathers wet at all. So it allows her to stay completely dry. She also does have webbed feet, allowing her to be a little bit more mobile along the coastline floor. One of my favorite things about spoonbills is if you see the feathers on the top of her head, that's how you can tell she's only a juvenile. As they age, very similar to people, they're going to lose those feathers on the top of their heads and eventually go completely bald. Now, spoonbills were almost hunted to extinction in the 1800s for that bright pink color that people were using for traditional headdresses and different types of fashion items. But everyone, that is a roseate spoonbill. But we're going to travel a little bit further inland, and we're going to get to meet North America's only marsupial. Now, this is an animal that you can not only find in rural city areas, but even at the edges of your own backyard. So I'm going to pass it off to my friend Brian, and he's going to...
Awesome, you guys can hear me now. Perfect. So as Weston said, this is Abby. She is our North America Virginia opossum. Before I start her, let's give a big round of applause to Weston. Great job, Weston. And a big round of applause, keep it going for Star and JoJo. All of you guys did fantastic. Thank you, everybody. So Virginia opossums are super cool and really unique animals for a lot of reasons. As Weston said, they are North America's only marsupial. Now, show of hands, who knows what a marsupial is? See a couple hands out there. Awesome, we got some really big animal fans out there. For those of you who don't know, marsupials are animals like kangaroos and wallabies. They have pouches on their stomach. And when the moms give birth, they actually give birth to really tiny babies. Opossum babies are about the size of a gummy corn. As they grow up, they move into the mom's pouch, and they'll continue to get larger in that pouch until they're large enough to kind of climb onto the mom's back, and she'll help make sure they stay nice and safe and get all the food they need to grow big and strong. Now, speaking about food with opossums is really cool because they are what's called an omnivore. They eat pretty much anything, which is super helpful for ecosystems. They are a Cajun critter after all, but again, they can be found in kind of more rural environments, and it's great to see opossums around because of their diet. They eat things that other animals don't eat, like ticks and decaying meat. It's called carrion, and it sounds really gross to us, but it's awesome that animals can help get that bacteria out of the ecosystem and make sure other animals stay nice and safe. Abby here has a fantastic sense of smell. She has that really long nose, and she's gonna use that nose to find whatever food she might want to snack on, which again is pretty much gonna be anything from meat to insects to different pieces of fruit. That nose is also covered with whiskers, which are great for her sense of touch. She doesn't have the greatest eyesight because she's usually a nocturnal animal, so she's going to use that sense of touch in conjunction with her smell to be able to find the food she wants to eat. She also has really neat ears on her head. I think they are adorable, and they're kind of like a papery material, so if she's walking through bushes or shrubs, she can sort of tuck those ears backwards and keep them safe from getting caught on anything, any sticks, thorns, anything like that. She'll keep her ears nice and safe. One of the last coolest things about opossums are their tails. They do have long prehensile tails. You can kind of see it right here. And prehensile is kind of a fancy word, but it basically means that she can use it as an extra limb. She can use it like we use our hands. That can help her if she's climbing on branches, or if she even needs to collect some sticks and leaves for a nest. She is really well adapted to climbing because of that tail, but her feet also help. She actually has 5 fingers on her hands like we do, and she has feet with claws that are great for gripping on tree bark. These are typically an arboreal species, which basically means they do spend a lot of time in the trees. So they're very well adapted to various environments, including swamps, bayous, but even here a little closer to home in San Antonio. Now our next animal, we're going to be meeting another bird, but this one is a little bit more of a hunter. This is a bird of prey. She's got some really impressive talons. She's pretty intimidating. She can see really well in the dark, fly silently. She's not that intimidating. This is Hazel on your right here. She's hanging out with Star, and she is our Screech Owl. Now the first thing most people notice about Screech Owls is their size. Hazel here is a full-grown adult Screech Owl. She's actually about 6 years old, and she's not going to get any bigger than she is right now. So they are a really small species of owl, one of the smallest in the world. But don't let that size fool you, they are still a fearsome predator. Hazel has some really intense talons on her feet, and she is in fact a very good hunter. Owls like Hazel will typically eat things like small mice, bugs, lizards, and snakes. Pretty much any kind of meat they can catch because they are strictly carnivores. And as I said, she is a very good hunter. Those feathers are beautiful. She has great camouflage, but they also help her fly silently. The little ridges on the ends of her feathers kind of muffle the sound of her wings flapping, so you can't hear an owl. And if you're a tiny little mouse, you're gonna have huge ears, but you're still not gonna be able to know that an owl is sneaking up on you and honestly turning you into its lunch. Now, owls are typically nocturnal, so we do get a lot of questions about why Hazel is awake during the day, but she's lived with us for pretty much her entire life, and she's very used to being on a person's schedule. I kind of compare it to if any people here might work a nighttime job. She just works a daytime job, so she knows when her food is kind of up and awake, when we're up and awake and here to give her her food. Now, as Hazel kind of turns her head back and forth, you'll hopefully all get a chance to see her big, beautiful eyes. One of her most kind of useful adaptations are those eyes. Owls have incredibly good vision because that's the primary way they're gonna find their food. They can see way better than we can, even when it's almost pitch black outside. They can see much further than we can, and they can kind of zoom in on animals that are further away. Those eyes are actually so big in her skull that she has no room for any muscles around her eyes. So everyone here in our stadium, you can keep your head nice and still, and you can still move your eyes left and right. She actually can't do that at all. That's where the myth of owls turning their heads all the way around comes from. They can almost turn it all the way around, about 3/4 of the way, but they can't make a full circle. They have 14 bones in their neck, which is way more than we have. Does anyone know how many bones are in a human neck? You can shout it out if you know. 7, I heard it. Nice job. You're exactly right. So they have twice as many neck bones as we do. A very, very flexible neck, and allows them to turn their heads 3/4 of the way around. They can look straight up, straight down. They can even flip their head over backwards. It's a little creepy when they do that, but it does help them kind of get a good bearing of their entire environment as Hazel's showing off. Any of you sitting up close right now, you might hear Hazel is making a little bit of noise. She is called a screech owl because of the noise she makes. It's honestly pretty adorable, but a lot of owls are known for hooting. Screech owls are in fact known for screeching, so you can usually actually tell what type of owl you might be hearing because they all have their own distinct sounds. before, or as Hazel's walking out, you might also notice she has some pretty large tufts kind of on the tops of her head. Those are actually just feathers. There's no ears where those are located. Her ears are a little bit lower about where her eyes are, but she does have ears. They are very, very strong. She can hear very well. They just happen to be underneath her feathers. As Hazel's walking around, let's bring out our next animal. Now, this is a Texas classic. It's actually the state small mammal of Texas, so I'm excited you all get a chance to see her. She is going to be hanging out in this little habitat in the center of the theater, but I just ask you guys all stay seated. You will absolutely have a chance to get up close and personal with her at the end. She'll be hanging out for a little while. She's actually got her lunch in there. So this is Holly, and she is our 9-banded armadillo. Now, Holly is one of our animal rescues here at SeaWorld. She's about 1.5 years old, and armadillos are a fascinating species. As you can maybe see already, she's snacking down on her lunch, and just like the opossum before her, she uses that incredible sense of smell to find her food. Now, unlike the opossum, armadillos have pretty strict diets. They're usually pretty limited to insects. They're what's called an insectivore, so they eat a lot of bugs. They eat things like ants, termites, cockroaches, sometimes those little roly-polies. They love to snack on insects, and her nose is so strong, she can actually smell the bugs even when they're buried in the ground. She's then going to use those big sharp nails she has on her feet and dig a little hole. They're like shovels kind of built into her hands, and she's going to find those bugs and snack them up. Armadillos are a great source of natural pest control. As long as you don't really care about yard maintenance, it's great to see them kind of around your houses. She does also have some big ears at the back of her head. You might be able to see them if you get up close. And those ears are very, very functional. She has a strong sense of hearing. In fact, she can kind of pinpoint her hearing because her ears sort of work like satellite dishes. So if she hears a noise behind her, she can rotate her ears to kind of focus backwards. I do think, however, the kind of the adaptation armadillos are most known for is that big shell on their back. That shell is made of keratin, which if you guys don't know, it's the same stuff that makes up our fingernails and hair, and it's very, very tough. It keeps her safe from predators, and it's a great just natural source of defense. It kind of looks like a turtle or a tortoiseshell, but Holly is actually a mammal, which means she does have hair, and she gives live birth just like we do. One different thing about armadillo birth compared to ours is that whenever a mama armadillo gives birth, it's going to be to 4 identical offspring. So it's always going to be quadruplets, either 4 boys or 4 girls. So all the moms in the audience, you can be maybe thankful that you're not an armadillo. That sounds a little bit exhausting if you ask me. Now, if you get a chance to see Holly's back end, she does have a pretty long tail. That tail is armored just like her back. It keeps it nice and safe from predators. It kind of also prevents her from curling up into a complete ball, though. I know in cartoons and movies you sometimes see armadillos curled up, and that's not a myth. There is a type of armadillo that can do that. It's called a 3-banded armadillo, and they live in South America. But this is the 9-banded armadillo. They are a North American species, and they can't curl into a complete ball, though she does kind of hunch over to keep her belly nice and safe. All right, I know what you guys are all thinking. You're tired of hearing me talk, so I'm going to let Wes and get another chance to talk about our last animal. This is an awesome one. Cajun critter. This is an awesome swamp animal, and we'll see what he has to say about our last animal.
Sweet, thanks Brian. So for this last animal, he's kind of so big we're gonna need a little bit of extra help. Any volunteers?
Where's he?
Did you want to come on up? Sweet, what's your name? Mia, come on up on stage. So this next animal here, if you want to come on over here, this next animal, you're going to put your hands out like this. Now this next species is a reptile. They're also iconic to the bayou area. I was supposed to have you cover your eyes. I kind of messed that one up. Well everyone, this is a baby alligator and Mia. This right here, this is Maverick. He's only 1 year old and he lives here as a rescue. Now, not only are they just an iconic animal of the swamp and the marshes, they also have several adaptations that have allowed them to be some pretty incredible hunters. So just taking a look at Maverick right now, you'll notice that his eyes, his nose, and his ears are all located on the top of his head. They're native to murky waters, so they're gonna peek their eyes, their ears, and their nose out of the water to be able to look for potential prey. These guys like to eat a lot of fish, birds, and even smaller mammals. So they're known as an ambush predator because they're gonna rest under the water without their body going undetected, then open up their powerful jaws and snap. It's said that they have one of the strongest bites in the entire animal kingdom. They have anywhere from about 50 to 70 razor sharp teeth in their mouth, meant for gripping and grabbing. Now, I mentioned that Maverick is only 1 year old. Now, these guys can get to be as long as 10 to 12 feet, which for perspective is about as big as a school bus. And they can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. That weighs as much as a car. So these guys have a lot more growing to do. Here at SeaWorld San Antonio, we're lucky enough to care for 3 rescues, all 1 year old. And they grow about 1 foot every year until reaching their max length. Now, alligator moms are some of the best moms in the entire animal kingdom as well. Moms will often protect her baby alligators for over a year, which is pretty uncommon for most species of animals. She's gonna lay her nest near the water in different mud and plants, and she's gonna carry them to the water in her own mouth. And then she'll stay with them upwards for over a year until they are able to fend and survive on their own. Now, I know what you're also probably thinking. That's not an American alligator. That alligator is black and yellow. But that's actually the coloration or the camouflage that they have when they are juveniles and babies. And that helps them to really kind of blend in with the breaking of the water. And then as they age, they're gonna eventually become that kind of darker green that you guys mostly think of alligators for. Now, alligators serve a really important role in our ecosystems. Being a keystone species, the nature system wouldn't be balanced without them, so they play a very important role. Now everyone, that does conclude our tour of just a couple of our Cajun critters. We hope you were able to learn something and have a great rest of your day at SeaWorld. We do invite you to get a little bit more up close to a couple of our Cajun critters, and we do invite you to come all the way up to the stage and we can get a little bit more up close with just a few of the animals. But thank you guys and have a great rest of your day here at SeaWorld.
At SeaWorld, home Dailer and Way. And ask everybody to pet